Hi, everyone. This is going to be an overview of the mini literature review. One of the things I want to emphasize, and when I've talked to you before, I've probably done the same thing, but remember that a literature review should be organized around ideas, not the actual sources themselves. So try to think about that a little bit, because I think it will help you understand the process. So here is the actual rubric for this class, and I mean for this assignment. And as you know from this class, this is very similar, where I give you the content, the details, subsections, and then the point value. The point value gives you a little idea of maybe how much effort and content, and it shows you the weight of the particular assignment component. So in this particular case, you need to remember you have your cover page, your regular cover page, that we use, the course cover page, and then you have a page break, and then at the top of the page, you don't say introduction, you put the title of your paper. And so try to use something that is reflecting the content of your paper, not just the assignment. You're going to do your introduction. Then the last sentence of your introduction will be your purpose. And I have you use this specific wording. And so I know that this is what you mean, and this is what you're presenting as the purpose of your paper. There's a few different ways of writing this, but for this assignment, please do this so I know what content you're viewing as your purpose. Then you're going to do your method, which, remember, the method for literature review is the method you use to review the literature. It's not, you're not reporting on a research study. So your database is search, your search terms, there's a variety of things. Then you're going to do your literature synthesis. And for this assignment this year, it's 3 research papers, and you need to compare and contrast. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. The limitations of your review, once again, think back up to your method and things having to do with the way you collected data, the limitation, characteristics of the papers, and that's so on. Your conclusion. So this is one that you don't use any of the scientific papers as a citation or reference, because you're going back and you're discussing your paper and what you found, not them. Now you can bring in here, if you're comparing it in some way back to the justification literature you used, you could bring it in here. But you want to bring in also your scholarly and professional nursing perspective on the topic. So you're bringing this in and you're overviewing, basically telling them what you told them. Your nursing practice implications, we've called this before implications for practice, but they're the same thing. Is what does a nurse need to know? What would be a takeaway for a nurse? What would they learn from your paper? That, and this is your paper, not necessarily this research studies, but how you pull it together about all 3 of your selected literature papers, research papers, and that will be the practice implications. That could be an individual nurse might do something differently. It might raise their awareness. They may change patient education. There's any number of things that they may do. It could be at a unit level where they bring something back to their unit. It could be at a hospital level where they go in and they advocate for implementing some particular change in practice. Future research opportunities, again, look at the 3 articles that you reviewed and the gaps in the literature based on them, and then what research do you see opportunities coming from that. Your APA 7th in-text citations and references. Your literature review table can be attached as an appendix, or if you are having problems with that, it's okay to upload it as a second file, but make sure you include it in the, like if you resubmit, make sure you include it every single time, because I'm only going to look at the very last submission that you have. So overall, let me just go back real quick. Sorry about that. And then you also want to make sure attention to detail. Include this course-specific cover page. Other than the cover page, everything is going to be strict. APA student paper format. Please don't include running heads and that type of thing. Include headings, and that's where we're talking about the headings in the paper themselves as outlined in this that are highlighted. Punctuation, sentence, paragraph structure, grammar, spelling. APA is an editorial style and actually does have content about that and how to present things too. So you can use that. You can go to the writing center. You know, this should be a well-written graduate level paper. So just a quick overview. The introduction is the overview of the topic that gives background information that does not come from the actual papers you reviewed. Although you may get ideas about where to find resources on the topic, you should go to the topics directly. The methods, this is a review. So the methods are referring to your paper, your literature review, and the methods you used for that paper, course synthesis. And then your conclusion, you want to do as I explained, you want to bring in what you did, and you may even include some questions, or you could put that content in since we have a specific area for future research. So here's the little idea, you know, this is synthesis. You identify the patterns, you discuss strengths, weaknesses, compare and contrast the author's findings, and then you're going to interpret what's known in your field. And in this particular case, it's what's known within those 3 papers. And so you're going to pull that in. So here's a short little blurb or an excerpt from one of the papers I wrote. And this paper, this had to do with identification of patient or it was on patient handoff. And you can see here that this is a paper I wrote with some other authors, and here's some more. And these particular papers were, they shared a common idea. Now, I do want to put a little disclaimer. This paper was written before 2007 APA, so there may be a different preferred style. So don't use this as the APA because it has changed a bit. I mean, although multiple citations in brackets is the same. And so the same thing goes with the next sentence. You know, I talk about communication gaps, and, you know, these things are patient safety indicators that can lead to increased complications. So I have 2 different papers here that I've brought in. And then I bring in the next idea, and here's the overall idea. And I bring in a different paper of my own. I bring in a different paper of my own from 2010, and then a paper by Brewer et al. To make that discussion. Now, this was a larger literature review, so there are probably 40 or 50 references in the overall paper, but this was part of the actual discussion about the paper. So this might help you a little bit. So there's another video that I've uploaded where a student from a previous semester, the cohort before you, gave permission for me to use her paper as an example. So there's a separate video that is an overview of her mini literature review paper and how she approached it. So please take a look at that one also.